Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to this week's series. We're doing a supervision, and we're going to be talking about managing conflict, which is one of the biggest challenges for any new supervisor or small business owner, and changes. How do I change? A lot of times, I'm bringing ideas from the corporate. How do corporations change cultures? And that's what we're going to learn about in this class. I teach a course, Organizational Behavior, and there we go in depth how an organization at the managerial level changes a culture. Now, the manager or environmental forces or the owner of the business, and your partner, he or she, or who has more interests, when I say interest, more power within the organization, say, hey, we want to change, we need to change for these and these reasons. It comes from the top down. Now it finally comes to me as a first-line supervisor. I may not agree with all the changes, but I have to be able to implement the changes. So even though my agreement may not be there with the organization, my voice wasn't heard, for lack of better words, or the organizations or consultants said, this is the direction we want to go. As a first-line supervisor, you have to go behind back up the organization. Because if you tell your employee, oh, we'll do this, but I don't really believe in this, they're not going to have the whole heart in there. You have to be the one. You are the change agent. You are the one that is basically going to make this move forward. So that's what we're looking for. So what are we going to talk about this? About 40 minutes. Usually my presentation, I try to keep it a half an hour. But these are 4 lectures. Remember, you've already read the materials that you're supplied. You're either taking me on an online class at a accredited college, or you're taking me one of my workshops or training, either at accredited college or on my within one of my consulting activities. Okay, so what are we going to be doing? We're going to be talking about conflict. Conflict, like it or not, even in the best organization, there's always going to be conflict. Sometimes it's political, there's self-interest, but most of the time the conflict is that basically there's 2 types of decisions or 2 course of actions, and I want to go this way, and somebody else wants to go this way. But as a supervisor, I have to bring the individuals or my flock that's going the wrong way, bring them back together and start focusing on the objectives of the organization. So, what are some conflict outcomes? 4 types of conflicts that everyone will. You may not get them all at the same time. Depends how big of the change, but you have to be aware that there are different types of conflict. Strategies, how to manage the conflict is very important. Mediating. Remember, I could force people to do something, but their whole heart isn't in there. I'm only getting compliant. What I want when I'm doing changes or eliminating conflict, how do I learn? I'm trying to be a learning organization. To be a learning organization, I start at the bottom. I'm a learning supervisor, and my team is learning, adjusting constantly to my customer needs, to my management needs, to my stakeholders needs, to my stockholders needs. Okay, so I'm a change agent. Changes in workplace, like that, there's no way around it. We're going to be changing, and changes can be as simple as somebody's moving in, moving out of the position. I bring a new individual in. All of a sudden, we had to change it. We talked a couple series back about team building, and team building, when you look at the team, the change process, it's similar. You're going to go into the forming, the norming, the storming, the performing, and then the journey. And everything in every life, every business, if it does not adjust, or the department or the team does not adjust to the external forces, you're going to be replaced. Or your use is no longer, or you're not going to be as effective as you would. Technology's coming in, I got to adjust to the use of technology. I don't want to learn something new. It doesn't make a difference. It makes the customer happy. It makes us more efficient. It gives us a better quality product. Technology is here, and it's going faster and faster. For organizations who survive, have to have the technology embedded. Those of you taking me in online, you're already using technology to learn. And so now I got time. I can't go to the traditional time, so I'm taking this online. I can do, listen to my videos at nighttime, or I could do my homework at nighttime. I could do it on the road. I could do it between my meetings. You have the flexibility. Use it to your advantage. But don't overburden yourself with technology. Always remember we talked about the stress. Reduce, have some time for your own self, that it's no technology, nothing. You're just there by yourself and thinking and relaxing, okay? And political strategy types of powers and socializing. Okay, so let's start with conflict. Now, conflict, okay, let's go. Is struggling with incompatible or opposing needs. So if I'm looking at conflict, there's something else that I want or I can't get, or my department isn't achieving, so how do I do it? feelings, thoughts, or demands within a person or between two or more individuals. So you could have a conflict. A lot of times conflicts are simple. There's two people. But if that conflict escalates like yeast, basically is bringing in more people. It just keeps on bringing more people into the conflict. Next thing you have is a dysfunctional team. Okay? So what are some outcomes of conflict? If I'm looking at outcomes of conflict, the manager spends 20% of his or her time resolving conflict. I don't care, and this is just an average. Sometimes some weeks I may spend 40% of my whole week is just resolving conflicts or issues. And it can be conflicts with my employees, with the customers. It can be conflicts between internal conflicts between two employees. It could be conflicts between different departments. My employee says something to this department, or is doing somebody else's work. Anything else. So you have different types of conflict outcomes. But you have the negative ones. When I look at the negative conflicts, causes stress because I can't resolve it. Diverts energy and resources. If I'm mad at somebody, I'm so mad, I'm taking, you get tired sometimes, you know what I mean? And, you get tired when you're happy, but you get tired when you have negative conflict. Once it becomes a continuous conflict, your team is already going in a downward spiral. You as a supervisor or an owner have to be able to resolve the conflict. Someplace the only way is like a bad tooth, you have to get rid of the conflict. And that could be because the person is always creating conflict, so that's, and you can't get them, there's other kind of training, how to work with teams. Finally, you have to cut the person. I don't like to cut individuals. That's my last resource. That means I as a manager, I as an instructor, if you don't pass, I fail. In my own heart. But I have to do it because it's not fair. It's the only way you're going to know it. I can't give you accreditation. I can't move you within the team. I can't promote you. I can't trust you with the work because it's going to upset the customer, and backlog, it upsets the whole the organization. I'm looking at the whole organization as a whole. Okay, so employees leave, overall, if there's conflict, somebody sabotaging somebody else's work, making them look worse, stealing or lying about the other individuals, gossip, untruthful things about an individual, distortion of information, and harms your organization and the team as a whole. Now, positive conflict causes change. We're doing a conflict. Look, there's a conflict with the new technology. We don't have it. Let's resolve that. Everyone else has it, but we don't. We're backward. That's a positive conflict. Creates stronger work environment. Activates and energizes people. Come on, we can do this. Form of communication, a different way of communicating. You don't have to always go through me. When those of you in my online classes, I start doing, I see the form dropping down, I will say something else, thinking a different way to keep it going. As you go further within my forums, you know that now I'm backing off more and letting you resolve your own conflict, letting you bring the forum as. Ask the question, just like you would as a first-line supervisor or business owner. How do I know? How do I present information to my employees? How do I know there's a conflict? They're telling me, hey, George, I don't want to hear it. Yes, you should hear it. If it's something that's credible and it's affecting it, putting your head in the sand like an ostrich is not going to help you resolve the conflict. Everything else is going to go on. You're going to stick your head out, and it's going to be all gone. Release pent-up emotions, education, learn about oneself. I do that through the assessments or through the forums. We discuss how do I improve. Everyone say, here's my strength, and I was always asking, okay, that's your strength. But as supervisor, you have to have all these other roles. You're an encourager, what we've been talking about, or you're what do you call it, a summarizer, or you're the one that's basically bringing people together. So all those are ways of doing it, and create openness. So conflict, if there's an issue, if you keep it in there, I don't know, I upset you, tell me about it. Maybe I'll change. And I always tell my wife that, hey, if I said something wrong, tell me. Don't give me the cold shoulder. And some employees are like that. And I don't try and show them with a personal, but how you deal into your home and your family, resolve. And if you're always a yeller at home, most likely you're going to be a yeller at work. So try to use it. And the flip side, you're taking workshops, you're taking this, how to resolve it. Try to use some what you're doing here. Practice it at home before you practice it on your employee. Now, there's 4 types of conflicts. You're going to have interpersonal conflicts. That means there's something internal to the individual. It's hard to analyze those because that's why if you have an open communication, somebody's going to talk to somebody. And if you have that trust other people, hey, this is bothering George. What you said last time, or if you're changing the hours, it's going to bother Susie because she took this job because it works well. She could drop off her son and her husband picks her up, or vice versa. The hour change is going to be a stressor for her. She needs a job, but she doesn't know what she's going to do. So there I may offer some kind of flexibility. Here's the rule. If you have these circumstances, you're taking care of for 11, I can make the adjustments to reduce the stress. But you have to let let me know about that. Sometimes people don't tell me, oh yeah, it's a good idea, because I'm promoting this, saying customers want this, we'll get more money, the customers, you get a raise, you get a promotion, increase. So I forget about the other person. Don't forget about that. Somehow I have something. Is there anything else? And you could have the individual to talk to me on the side. A lot of people feel comfortable. Open door policy, okay? Now, interpersonal conflicts are between individuals, supervisors and employees. Sometimes I'll have my direct reports are fighting, and it's a nice individual. And it could be just a personality conflict. We all have different personalities. And sometimes we rub against each other. We're like a type A's, all type A's, or all type B's, or different types of type of individual personality. Our peers may be a conflict. We want to be like them, but we can't be. Different departments, we have to come early, but they get home. They can come anytime they want. Their supervisor isn't as strict on coming on time, because the department, maybe a sales department, so they work at nighttime, so they have a little more flexibility. But the employee doesn't see that. He just sees those individuals coming at any time they want. And hey, what the heck are you? You're nickel diming us, or you're spending more money than them? So those are all conflicts you should be aware of, okay? So those personality types, prejudice, jealousy, and envy. Now, structural conflicts is between units. A lot of times my department and other departments, I have the resources because that individual is assigned to me, but I don't have your goal commitment. So I'm going to try to meet my goals, and if I have any time left over, yours. But because I don't get my job done, or that you need done, the one aspect that I have to do, so there is some kind of a conflict between the department. So you're scheduling and doing a process reevaluation of your organization or your team that you're working on, who does what. Try to look at some of those unital conflict situations that could arise that you don't realize. But if you map it out, this doesn't make sense. Maybe I should put a timekeeper in another department. It's just as large as mine, and I could justify. Or my timekeeper, they share time. Half of it is in the morning, she belongs to me, or he belongs to me. In the afternoon, she belongs to him, and you're paying for it. So they are not struggling. You have to have the right individual for that. You have to be able to manage, because you have two bosses coming in there. Remember when you look at back there. Weber, for lack of better words, basically said his whole thing is everyone reports to one boss. So that has to be very carefully done how you did that. Or you have two part-time individuals. You only work half a day and the other person half a day, and that person basically backs up. So I have a whole individual, and there's somebody that retires, got kids, and they want to work the full day, but they still want to keep current within their discipline, okay? Unequal dependence on the department, as we talked about, dependence on common resources. We all have only one car, or I don't have enough cars, or I don't have enough computers. Everyone has to do computers. I had to buy the computers. You have to spend the money, because the conflict is going to make the team ineffective, and plus you're wasting time. I like to get up, but he's on the computer, I'll have my coffee, and now I become slack and everything else for you buy the computer, or if you can't buy it, lease it. There's some way you have to resolve that, okay? And then competition, and that's your goals. Make sure the goals are fair for everyone. Now, strategic conflict, it promotes self-interest. Individual group. Sometimes I'm doing, and that ties in when we get into later on when we jump over here into politics strategy. Some people are very political. They're doing it all to make their team look well, and can be positive or can be negative, okay? So now the other thing, strategies to manage conflict is conflict management, and that's real easy. One, responding to problems stemming from conflict. Make sure you're aware. So that means you have to be a manager or first-line supervisor. I expect my first-line supervisor to be more interactive than I do a middle manager. Middle manager, I'm in teams, I'm in all over, but that's why I have my direct reports. I'm very active in my direct report, but they have to be the pulse. They're the heart. They have to know what's going on. So if you're a first-line supervisor, don't just say in your office, I'm the boss, come to me, I'm King George. That sounds kind of good. But, you know what I mean? So but you have to go out there and talk to individuals so they feel, you see what's going on. Hey, wait a minute. What are you doing over here? Why are you using the machine over there, not the machine there? Oh, it hasn't been working. It always skips. It doesn't work well. So everyone's, after a while, no one's using that one. Fix it. Well, I don't know how to fix it. So, or I fixed it and the repair isn't there because the other person on vacation who does that. So you have to, oh, jeez, I didn't realize. You have to change your process. And those are little changes you could do to keep the process running smoothly. Compromise. Parties into the conflict, settle solution, bring them to do. Remember, compromise, you usually don't get the best outcome because you had to give up something, I had to give up something. But that works out better. If you look at it, I'm getting, before having a conflict, I'm doing 80% of work or 50% of work now with a compromise, doing 80%. And then later on, I could see how I could move it out of compromise and make something that's a mutual agreement between two individuals that both are basically succeeding at high expectation and high performance. Forcing Easy. I just tell you what to do. Remember, when I keep on mentioning, if I force someone to do it, they're just going to do enough to keep me off their back. They are not going the extra mile. Psh, I hate George. I don't like George. He's making me do this. Like some people, I force you to do the forums. I can see I got 1, 2 sentences. They're just doing it. Think, oh, I got 10 of my points. Why, Dr. George, didn't you get? I get the full points. You didn't tell me nothing. Yeah, I agree with you. What the heck is that? You have to tell your individuals. I'm not talking about the praise in a minute that we talked about. If they don't understand the task, you have to make sure they thoroughly understand it, so you don't have to keep on repeating it. Because if they do it wrong, you got to do rework. Rework is taking time. It's not effective. I want to train them properly. I want to make sure they understand. Do this in your own way, but this is my outcome. Okay? And then the other way is conflict resolution. If I look at that, managing conflict by confronting the problem and solving. Remember, you have to look at it. I don't want to be a micromanager. If it's just simmering a little bit, I think they can resolve it. But if it starts escalating, they're sitting and not talking, I get right into there before it gets too large. Once it gets too large, you call people's name, and you've got that hurt feeling. And ladies, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything else. Research shows that ladies do hold a grudge a lot longer than men. So I gotta make sure I resolve it faster while it's still fresh in people's mind. It hasn't taken root in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind. All right. Okay, initiating conflict resolutions. And here's a thing, understanding the conflict as a supervisor. I have to understand that if I want to resolve it. There's no way I'm going to understand if I can't resolve it. So here it is. Understand the conflict. State the problem in the terms of the problem. Here's the two people. First, talk to them and do some research. Talk to each one, and then bring them in. Here's what I think. That's what a judge does, right? If you look at Judge Judy or some of the other judges, they basically look at both sides, and then they come to the conclusion, which is more credible. Or then you have, if you have enough time to fuss, or some people say, oh, maybe it was my fault. I overreacted. Those are what I want to hear. Or no, you got two stubborn people that aren't going to do it, then you have to resolve it. Then basically I said, you don't have to be friends. It would be nice if you're good, but I want you to respect and be cordial and professional to your coworker. Okay? The problem is acknowledge, yes, reinstate the problem, find a solution, reinstate it, and implement the solution. Okay, so that's real quickly. Easier said than done, trust me, because now you're dealing with people. Remember, people aren't the same, not as black and white. People work in a gray area. Okay, how do I manage it? Okay, now there's the 7 steps that are pretty good how to manage conflict. Make this just a little bit bigger. Okay, beginning by establishing a constructive environment. So you already have to have that. You can approach me. I have an environment, everyone's kind of working, helping out. I'm not an environment that's so much stress. Everyone's watching their back to see if I'm the next one being cut. So that's something you have to look at the environment. Sometimes it's a little harder, but you have to be able to have it established in a constructive environment that people could come on any kind of problems and issues to me. That's what the open door policy, suggestion box, or go to see some kind of the HR or mediator or individuals in your process if you don't have a union or an HR. Ask each person to explain what the problem is. And sometimes I'm like a mediator. I said, here's what's bothering Jack. Am I correct? Because Jack may put all the emotion in. So a lot of times when you're having a conflict, it's nice to bring somebody else, either a union steward or another individual that you respect, and he or she takes the emotions out of it, and they could talk to you without throwing the emotions. That's why you hire a lawyer, so you're not that emotional up there. He or she is the count. She could cut through all the emotions and get right to the facts, okay? Because emotions are important. I'm not saying that's not important, but you have to cut through the emotions to find out actually what's causing the issue. Okay, individuals state what they want to accomplish or what will satisfy them. That's the union negotiates, restate, or you got labor issues, or you got employee issues, restate in your own words what each person's position is. Have all parties participate as many solutions as they can. Okay, suggest as many solutions as they can. Encourage the employee to select a solution, or employee to select a solution that benefits all of them. You still have the final say. You're the manager. Could have worked within your process, and summarize what has been discussed and agreed upon. Excuse me. Because usually I get a break when I'm doing a live class because students will ask me questions, okay? So we had that. Now, what's a change agent? You are basically a change agent, a supervisor. Individuals could be change agents. Some groups could come up on your idea. Or hopefully, it's your team that's changing for different teams to follow your model that you've created, and that's good. That gives recognition and intrinsic reinforcements for your team members. We came up with the idea, and now we're going to roll it out for the whole company, or different departments are taking that one aspect that I think is a good way, the way you're dealing with customers, or the way you're resolving the conflict, or the way you're diversifying, or whatever, how you're improving your communication. Now you have external. External are more objective. That's where you have consultants, because when you come in there, why are we doing this? We always did this way. I'm a consultant. I have no idea, but here's the change, and here's, we'll have at the end, the manager will come in, he'll explain the change from the old to the new. I'm just bringing in a new process. And a lot of times that's good, because then they don't baggage me, because I come in with a clear head. And that's a lot of consultants when I come in, or consultants that come in, they come in from the outside. They're not tied up with all the emotions and all the politics within the organization. There's just some political things to maneuver, but not as much as somebody that's been immersed. And a lot of people say, boy, you're really smart. I'm looking from the outside. I'm not tied in with everything. Why are you doing this way? I'm looking, why are you doing this way? It doesn't make sense. For you, you've always done that way. It made sense, and you don't see how you could change. And I'm looking at you, just do this. Oh man, it makes it so easy, because you're not tied in with it. Okay, limited knowledge, and your view is suspicion, because I'm an outsider. Okay, internal, understand the organization, understand the political system, and closely objective. So what you normally have in most change agents, you'll have your consultants here, and you'll have your individuals have been hand selected by management that understand the processes or various processes thoroughly. They're the ones that, I've been in sales, I've been in construction, I've been in managed engineers, so now I know how they're thinking, their culture, and now I'm coming in with other departments, so I bring in my piece. The other individuals internal, they have that understanding, and the consultant is basically working through me as their resources to set up the base frame line, and then they go out and bring more people in to see. Remember, I still only have a limited view, or the individuals on this internal still are looking through their glass through their eyes, the way they see things, through their experience and everything else. It may not be what the norm, but it gives me a pretty good idea. They have the general idea. They're the experts, and they already have the respect and reverence, so they have to roll it out. People already basically will trust them. Okay, so this one, supervisors, changes in workplace. And if I look at this one, like a management does the changes, employees create me or move me along to a change because they want to raise, or they say this isn't the right way, it's unsafe, or this is a better way. They come up with a lot of good ideas that could cut the processes and make it more effective and more quality. They're doing the work. I'm looking at this big thing. Oh, I got this big machine. They're saying, hey, the keyboards are too small. Sure, it made sense. You save money, but I can't type like this, or whatever. Okay, and then internal forces is what's Affordable Care Act, or new technology, or a new competitor, or something's coming in there, or new laws and regulations change. Okay, you look at McDonald's changing, raising the raises because all the other fast food chains are raising, and now people have education and everything else. They may not want that job, or there's different rules, there's different opportunities. So now they're struggling for the workers, so they're giving them college, they're doing other things to bring them back. But they want, if I'm paying more, I want a more professional type of a workforce, and so things are changing outside. They have to do it now. When I look at supervisors, or sometimes partners in a business, do not decide what an organization should change, but how to make the changes work. And we talked about that. Factors that could affect the causes. You're the change agent, determination of what needs to be changed. If just a company's changing here, you may already have everything else that meets all the objectives, but you still should do some little tweaking. It's a nice time to tweak things to make it better. So the individuals will feel that we're part of this organizational massive change, okay? So they still have some input because they are part of the organization. And they can come up with something, because a lot of times my department is good, but the other departments have restructured. Now, how's the new individuals? Who am I talking to? I have to understand their processes, just have to understand my processes. So as an organization, everyone is working. Like a manufacturing, you can't change the containers here and still put the same amount of information in there. If you're going to use a condensed version, you got to put a smaller amount. That smaller amount could be a different department and how to interact. Kind of change can be made. How the individuals are changed. What's the new responsibility? What's the new job title? When Julian was doing all the changes, they're moving the produce and moving everything else on different sides, and it was throwing off people. They gave me a map. After a while, once I learned to change, and now I feel very comfortable going going back in there. But remember, think of that thing, and that was something that's real simple. I want to go in there for a little bit. Now think of you're there 8 hours, 12 hours a day, which most individuals are working with overtime and everything else, okay? And then evaluate the change. The change makes sense. A lot of times when a lot of organizations, they'll have the change agents, I'll come in and I'll do the change. They'll come back like 2 years later, and they'll put me in that position that I changed, and people forget who did the change. It's just part of the team, but did he actually do the nuts and bolts of the process change? And what the reason is, they put me in to see how much of the change differently from the original design. Nothing wrong, because we had just like a change. I was a lot thinner when I was younger. I put on a little weight, but now I relieve the stress because fat's a little bit good for me. I'm just making this up, okay, just to bring a little humor in here. But so now the change has changed. Now I come back and I say, does this change beneficial to me, or is it non-beneficial? And the other thing is, how much did it change? And I do this for different departments, and we meet or different areas. I'm a large company, and the rationale for that is because if the change made sense, then I should implement it company-wide. If it this one organism, this one division changed drastically from the other divisions, the way they're doing it, and they may be productive, but not as productive. The problem is, if I want to take an individual from this region and place them into this region, they both have the same job title, but the job is completely different. They're starting all over from you. The part of having consistency after the change, and to make sure that the change is, I understand some offices you may not, it's laid out a little different, you may not have as many employees, so some individuals may be doing one or two jobs a little bit different, but not major changes. Because when I move this individual, or he or she gets promoted in here, I don't want to retrain them. They should be up and running. That's why organizations with the job titles and that they are actually performing the tasks that I hired them for. They could do jobs other as assigned, but basically doing that task is in case of a crisis, something happened in this area, or I got to shift this work to another area. I'm sorry, you can't see my hand. I got to shift this work to another area. I basically had that area could pick up the work. The paperwork is similar. It's just got a different code because it goes from that office, but everything else is processed the same way. And I could bring crews in. They're reading the same blueprints. They're reading the same thing. They have the same equipment to this area. So I have consistency. I have standardization. Does it make sense? Okay, so sources of change. Organizations, remember, management wants some changes. You'll see an opportunity if some changes occur or need to do things better. The other thing is employees from unions. I got a union contract, or I got a new process, or I'm bringing a new workflow. I've taken another job, but I have to ask the union. I got to bring in. Now we're all engineers, but I got to bring some electrical engineers. I got to bring in individuals with electrical understanding, so I may have to bring in another union because your union doesn't basically represent your civil or your construction or your landscaping union or your trenching company union, but now I have to do electrical work, so I have to bring another union. So just change between the union. How much I'm bringing in more members is good for the organization, but now I'll have two union for different kind of contractual, but overall everyone gets the same pay, same vacation, everything else, okay? So that takes care from the organizational perspective, and now I have laws that change, new laws and regulation. Here's the minimum wage, that changes. Here's the safety. Everyone, if I look at a lot of construction, even small ranch houses, everyone has to have a harness, so you don't fall off the roof. I go, what the heck is not going to fall off the roof? Some they could jump off. Most people are very healthy. The law changes. You don't. You get violations. Somebody gets hurt. It's you could be in trouble. So I have to adjust with the laws. Here's a new regulation. I have to do this testing now, where before I didn't have to. I had to have this kind of safety initiative or safety equipment to take care of it. The other thing you're looking at is resistance to change. Why do people resist to change? Like it or not, people are people. We don't like change. We're people of habit. We do the same thing, and that's why some relationships work. I don't like her, I don't like him, but I don't want to change. I took the class in marketing, and they told me that it's easier to maintain your current employees than to a current wife than to find a new wife or a new husband, a new partner, or a new customer, a new client. That is true to a point. But if people The organization has to change, and I have people who are resistant to change. Again, they're no longer the type of individual that I want for that culture going forward, or they don't want to learn the new skill set. There's nothing wrong with them. They're good individuals. They're hardworking. But now I need everyone to know how to use a tablet. I need everyone to be able to be online. Because my customers, before I go to them, they don't want to talk to me on the phone. They want to see me face to face like this. If you look at FaceTime or Skype, is a norm in a lot of businesses. So get used to it. When you see me in a couple of years, you'll be taking me online. We'll be talking online like this because the computer will have a little a box, and here I'll be talking to the whole class and everybody. You have another box here, and you'll see all the students. They already have that for meetings and everything else, but it's going to come into to how I'm going to teach it in education to give you that skills, such as how you're going to be communicating with your employee. You got a lot of times your employees on the phone, on the speakers, or FaceTime right now. You're talking to them, or when they come out there. I had a dumpster picked up for something else. Before he came in there, he took a picture of the dumpster so know that it was level. If he had to charge me extra, and then when the guy comes, oh no, it's way up there. He goes, nope, I took the picture. It met all the requirements. Don't overcharge me. So you're using technology to make your job easier and also to cover your butt, for lack of better words. Okay, but some people are going to be resistant. They're fearful because change carries the risk of making them worse. I change. I could go to the extreme. The change may not work. I'm telling you, but you have to do something. But it may be worse than before. Okay, people's resistance to change. So I left my husband, or I left my partner. I found another boyfriend, found another girlfriend, and she's worse than the other one. But I wish I would have changed. Those are always the risks, but you have to take the risks to go forward. You're never going to improve if you're afraid of risks. Life is full of risks. That's what makes life interesting. That's why I love being a supervisor or manager. You're involved in there. You get people. You make the changes. Some things work. Some things don't work. Hopefully, you have more things working better than not working. Otherwise, you're going to be out of business, or they're bringing another supervisor, or your team's going to lose confidence in you. It's the greatest when they are not sure what to expect. Why the change is necessary. And that's the hardest thing. I went from when we went into the regular, from a mainframe. Mainframe, you had to know all the DOS codes, and and all of a sudden they went to an off-the-shelf software, or what I would say a PC like this software, you just click and everything else. What happens is people are they do all this. Like, this is easier, just click. I don't have to remember all of that. Click, paste, cut, instead of using a DOS code. But once they got it, they got it. But so you have to encourage them. You have to do proper training. You have to stroke them. You have to walk with them. It's like someone learning a bike or learning a new task. They're scared, but after a while, look, when you first learn the car, you're driving with two hands on the wheel. You're paying attention. I see you 6 months later. Yo, man, kind of cool. I'm just driving, got the radio on. And ladies, do the same way. You're doing your hair. I'm not being stereotyping. I'm just doing general. Come on, I'm having some fun out here. But you understand what I'm talking about? So you're going to resist the change, but once you got the change, man, I wish I did this better. It's better than riding a bike. I can understand this. This is really good. Okay, so, but that has to be someone who has to be your change agent, has to be able to communicate and actually help people along and understand the process thoroughly. And if there's a concern, this stuff doesn't work. Let's figure out what happened. Man, it should be working. Worked it before. And then you work it together. And now you become problem solvers. You become critical thinkers. And then once you get used to changing, don't stop it. Just do a little change at a time. You know what I mean? So you lost some weight. Now you do some exercises. You add on to the change. But always so positive as you're going forward. So now individuals embrace change. Because they say, hey, man, it's getting boring. Look, well, don't we change our room? I change my office all the time. Move it from one side. My wife thinks, you go, no, I just like to change. I got it here. I like it here a little bit different. And then you want something else. Restaurants change all the time. All right? Okay, so now Ludwig's change model. It has two forces. Okay, and basically in the book it does a change model, but this is an individual who started it off back there. Okay, pushing to preserve status quo and pushing for change. I want to keep the same. I don't want to change, right? And sometimes you see that in a relationship. I want to change. Let's go this way. You see people that cut their hair short, or longer. Ladies or guys, you change your hair color, or you do something. Okay, those are the two forces in the business that are doing change because it's for the better organization, or change to keep current. And other people, let's stay status. That's not the time. So who's going to win? Let's say one wins and says we're going to change because environmental forces are out there. So what you have to do first is unfreeze the situation. So when I unfreeze, think of an ice cube. I got an ice cube tray here. Got water, square cube. My son And then let's say I make Kool-Aid ice cubes, something that I spent some time in there, so they're blue, all ice cubes, all square block. My grandson or my son or my wife or someone, hey, I want Mickey Mouse ones for a party. Okay, I just spent all that money. It's $30 worth of investment in it. Do I throw it away? No, I unfreeze it. So that's what you're doing. You unfreeze it, explain the reason, that ice cube, I unfreeze it, and I put it into the Mickey Mouse, pour it back in, so I'm freezing it, I'm changing it, and I refreeze it. So when you look at the rationale, what they're doing for unfreezing, changing, and freezing, think of that ice cube tray, and think of you using the content, and now you just putting it in different packages, maybe adding another color or adding something else into it to make it a new product with still some of the existing. Those are your employees or your process or your equipment. Don't get rid of everything as you're moving out the whole brand new apartment. It's more more costly. So you're trying to keep some of the old and some of the new and changing them more working forward. Just like if you have your house is beautiful. I like everything else. I need a new family room, so I just put on an addition, but it blends in with the rest of the architectural and structural soundness of the building, okay, that you're presently at. If you can roll out the change gradually, that's nice. Be honest with employees. Hey, yes, there's going to be some bumps in the road. We may not get some. Yes, some in the, don't try to hide that or any bad news. There are going to be some layoffs, but hopefully we'll find other people. If not, we will have a consultant to help you transition to and help you find another job. We'll give you 6 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever, some kind of severance. Yes, you could go for unemployment today. And some people, when they're looking at that, you're going to say, oh, you're going to lose your job. Oh, fine, I want to change. This job's so stressful. Now is my opportunity. So let's say you got laid off, or let's say your job's not there. I've been in the same position. Come on, I've been in one. I'm a consultant. Sometimes I get the job, sometimes I don't. Works in a corporate, sometimes I got the promotion, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I was forced, sometimes I was let go. What happened? You look at that as an opportunity. You're going to feel bad because now you have nothing to do, man. I thought that was the best in the company, and it didn't work out that way. But okay, so what do? You see a lot of people in their organizations were cut down, or they got laid off, and they took their severance pack. Instead of crying, they took their money, invested, and opened up the business that they wanted to do, and they're happy as a lark. And you see these people come to work. I love my job. I may not be a millionaire, but man, I come to my job. I'm relaxed. I love to deal with people. I'm stressed. So look, I have individuals who are in the corporate world. I see them, and I'm a little bit older than they are, and they look like they're 10 years older. They're all stressed out. They're not used to, because a lot of changes, but for some it wasn't a plus, and some it could be negative. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but remember, it happens, it's there, let's move on forward. The ice cube, the tray broke, I got to move it here, I got to change, some disaster happens, there's no choice, you lost everything. Weep, mourn, and get over it. Okay, I mean, there's nothing about it. Otherwise, you're going to be depressed for the rest of your life, and you have to move on. You lost loved ones, or I did, and all of us have at one time. I still miss somebody. I love them in the heart, but you're moving on, right? You reap. You have your grieving period of the change. I wish it was this way, but now here's a new thing, and then you pick up. And gee, you look at kids; they adjust to change real quickly. Move from school as they get older, they don't like change. So that's the unfreezing. Okay, so you got to tell them. Now, the key to freezing, as employees, is to building a success. They're the heart that makes this thing go. More likely go along with it and even embrace it if you could convince them that this is a course of action. To induce the change in behavior, right? New behavior. What I'm trying to do with the behaviors, I put in a new behavior, I got to have some rewards. I got to train them, and I get a lot of times when we went with the mainframe, we got rid of all the mainframe, here's all the new computers. You either know it or not. You train it. Oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pass the training. I give you two tries of training, second training. You no longer have the skill sets I need for this job, and I'm going to let you go. And, and I'm not firing you. I'm just letting you go. You don't have the skill set. I will give you a severance package. It doesn't mean you could have your skill set. My brother's a printer, the old-fashioned printer, everything else all automatic. They still have the old-fashioned printer. People want them embroidered cards and everything else. There's technology in there. But, unless you change with the technology, knowing all the computers and everything else, he didn't want to do that, so he went to a smaller company that still were using it. After a while, there's only one or two companies that are doing it, and after a while, that's going to be something that's going to be in a museum. Here's how they did the printing in the old days. And there he could change, and he may be happy working or something like that, because there's going to be some individuals who could do it the old-fashioned way, okay? So you're basically changing new behaviors for old, okay? But you got to have some kind of rewards. When we take psychology, I've done something else, here's a reward. I've done something else, you're kind of like training, those who are training pets or kids. You do this, you're grounded. You do this, I'll take you out for ice cream. So there's a positive reward for them to change to that behavior that I want them. After a while, I'll stop the rewards. Okay, so now I have that. The other one is new values, new attitudes, establish deadlines for the change. Here's the deadline. Now, this time the old system's out, so either learn it now or learn it later. But if you learn it later, you're going to be behind the ball. You're not going to be as productive, and your incentive or your raise for the department will be reduced because you're not meeting the goals and expectation with the new tool that's in there. Don't do change every year because people say, oh, just hang on, we're going to go back to the old way. You have to make sure that you spent your time and made the decision wisely, and you did everything else. And once the change is going, it's gone. You take away the old, there's no turning back. You got to go forward. People will leave the country, like I did when my mom, when we left here, when we immigrated in here. There's no going back. Everything was gone. You're here, and you have to change it. We didn't like it, but we got used to it. Okay, refreezing, establishing the new values and behaviors. The change process is completed only when employees make the behavior part of their routine. Backsliding is natural. Backsliding is I go forward, I'm losing dieting. People, we all diet. And sometimes in our life we all do a diet, I don't care. Or we eat more to put on some weight, whatever. All right, but mostly people diet. So what I have, I'm good for a whole week, and there's that piece of chocolate. I'm at that staff meeting. There's that donut. I have another one. I haven't had any. And next thing I put the weight back on. Okay? So that's backsliding. But then you go, oh man, I put it on. You look at the scale. Before it goes too far, let's go back. So we all going to do some backsliding. It's nice to fall back to what we're comfortable with. But then we have to start moving forward because, lesser equipment there. You can't find anyone who knows how to find an old typewriter. What the heck is this? That's how you used to type. How do you do the correction? Where's the spell check? No spell check. Nowadays, older, younger people, what the heck? How primitive. I have a phone that's like big like this. When I first knew cell phones, now I have a little computer, what I call my a smartphone on there. An important part of Refreeze is employees. They have to convince, they have to see the reward, they have to see that the change is beneficial for them, the change is promotions, going up the ladder, the change if you want to lead the organization, is having skill sets that are current. So if something happens with the company, if we get bought out and like to work with a new company, you know what I mean? So it's everything else that you, and that's how you, the change agent, sells this, promotes this, and not lies to them. Shows them all the aspects so that now they have the whole picture. Not overwhelms them, but slowly on there. They made the change, the desired change, and that's how they're going forward. So some people, as you go on the diets you want, you're up and down, you lose the weight, then you binge out and come back. So what's the change? The change is not being on a diet. The change is how you eat. You could have that chocolate, but not all the chocolate. You could have that healthy food, but not all the health. You could have the meat. Sure, it's good for in moderation. So what you did, you've changed how you ate. You changed that you're a little more active. You do a little more exercising. It doesn't have to be heavy exercising. It could be moderate, walking instead of running. We're going far. Okay, proposing a change. Supervisors should begin by analyzing. Here's the change. How's it going to affect my department? How I'm going to sell it? How I'm going to promote it? How I'm going to implement the change within my department or within my company that I'm changing. And a lot of times the consultants come in because the managers don't know, people, how do I change? They say, well, he doesn't know. So an outside to say, we like to do it. I'm paying this consultant this big money, which really isn't for small businesses. I'm paying them this big money. The big money is at the larger one, but I like working with small businesses. So here's your big, I'm paying him or her, and he's making a recommendation. So at the beginning, they like me. After a while, they have to move their desk. They have to change, hello, good morning, ABC Construction. And, they have to say, before they say, yeah, hi, can I help you, man? You know what I mean? Because they're trying to talk, but now they're talking to customers, trying to be professional. And I am basically the change agent, changing them, and an outsider working with the insider as a manager or with a supervisor to help you change that, your department. Once you learn how the process works or manage your work, next changes, you do a little changes. Here's how he did it. Here's how the consultant did it. Here's how the trainer did it. Here's how my mentor did it in an organization. And then I tried to implement those same tactics with my workforce. How will it help the organization better achieve its goals? Will it improve quality of products? What steps are required to carry it out? Remember, within my team, my small business that I control. I can't control out there. I'm just controlling, trying to take the change and trying to make it work. I got this new part. It's similar. It says it'll work, but I got to, cut some out here. I got to patch something else in it to make it fit, and it works perfectly. But I have to do a little adjustments, and we all do that. How much will it cost? That's a big thing. And who will carry it out? Which individuals I know I got to implement it, and the other ones I got my informal leader, my experts. I get them on board first because they'll be able to do a process or do some training in house so they know and what training will be required, and make the proposals in writing. Except for simple change. If you're going to move the desk here, don't send me a memo. Just move it over and see how it looks like. Okay, provide detail about the procedural change. So for a new employee, you're doing it one time, but you bring a new employee or somebody else from another department gets promoted, you don't have to come up with the training. You already know here's the basics, and then you do some modification. You do the core of this, and then each individual may do it just a little bit different. That gives them the empowerment, that gives them the responsibility, that gives them a different way of coming, as long as the ultimate goal and the main functionality of the process is intact, and benefits and costs involved. And then summarize it, brief summary, what changed and what is desirable. As instructors, the publisher always putting new aspects in the book, changing around. But then they'll send it here from last book. What we did these changes, so everything else is the same. But in these areas, we revamped the whole finance area, revamped the whole marketing area. So now I got to spend a little more time learning it myself before I be able to implement it within the classroom or within my department. Okay, types of powers: legitimate power that's given to me, reward power. I'm not going to go into much on this because we already covered it in other classes. If you had a basic business, you understand reward power as a supervisor. I reward, if you do something good, I reward you. So I already have the power. Look at your families or the businesses. Who controls the assets? Who will give me the good desk? Who will give me the better stuff? So reward power. Cohesive power: who does the punishment? I could be an assistant manager, but I can never fire anyone, or I can give any punishment, but I can reward you. So, legitimate power: I'm the supervisor, I'm the owner, I had that power no matter what. Expert power, because I've been in the field, I've done the work already, people respect me. Reverent power: to respect me because of my understanding, my decision making, or my charisma, something about me. And then connections: what connections I had, that's a power. Remember, information. Some people don't even have the power to have the information. They know where to get the information, to get that librarian. Those are information when you're doing your research papers. They have more power than anybody else in the world because they'll know which book and everything else to satisfy my need. So if you as a supervisor have all these, you're perfect. And when you get the legitimate power, you always get the legitimate power because I appointed you as a supervisor, or you're the owner of the business. So by that one, you most likely have the reward and the cohesive power. If you have, it doesn't mean you have the expert power. Remember, they're listening to police officer. He may not be very personable, but what does he have? Legitimate power. He's got the bat plus the big gun. He has a reward power. He could either give you a break or not, or he has the thing, he can give you a ticket, okay? But some of them are more expert on how to deal with an individual, how to conflate. Some of them are reverent, you just have reverence, they're either larger, or how they talk to you, or they have connections. Some of them, I don't know how you can do connections, you have another police officer or something else, or they have information. So all this, if you as a manager or first-line supervisor have all this, you are what we call the expert, the best. And, you still could have problems, but you have more respect than everything else because you have all these other powers. People look at you differently than someone who just rewards and have cohesive, powers. You're expert in the field, in the revive, they look up to you, and you have connections. Some people just have that connection. You know the boss's wife, or you know the boss's husband, or whatever. You're talking about. So, that's why I'm talking nice, because she will indirectly say, George is not a bad person. Who the heck is George? So indirectly. Okay, now political strategy. We're almost done. Building good relationship. Politics are like it. Sometimes our decisions should be all political, but that's life. And political, I'm not talking outside with the Democrats or Republicans, the Independent Party, or the Tea Party, or whatever party. I'm talking, it's something like that you have internal. I have my alliance to this boss, even I'm working for him, so I'm always worried, is he talking behind my back, or whatever. So there's political. If you look at politics, think of it like peer pressure. A group that you associate with. Sometimes you will help another group out just because you want to help them out, but they may not be the right group or the right individual, but he or she has some political influences. Your boss says, hire Jackie there. What? She interviewed. She's terrible. I know, but it's my sister's daughter-in-law, and she's giving me a hard time. Just hire her. I'll give you another individual to back up. Okay, yeah, you can say, hell no, I don't want her. But he's the boss. Don't be an idiot. You know what I mean? Because he or she's going to promote you up. So you sometimes are forced with it, or sometimes you have something that an individual's in there for out of your control. It's very political. You could lead your organization. You could say it's wrong. You have that. Use your. If you're gonna, if it's messing up your moral fibers, and you don't think it's right, don't quit there. Don't do anything. I'll start looking for another job or another promotion. Because you're not going to be happy. You're not going to win in the long run, especially if he has the power. Because what happens, you may win that one battle, but behind the scenes, he goes, George is not a team player. George is a jerk. I would never hire him. And he may not come out right like that because they don't know why. They're just thinking this person is a fair thing, but he's got other contacts, the connections out there that you don't know because they're meeting with different people. They're at different levels. So he could or she could put a good word in for you or a, he's all right word. He's all right word. It's like a kiss of death. What do you mean he's all right? That's not what I'm looking for. I want to say, but I don't want to lose him. I understand and move him here because if I don't promote him or her, she's going to leave the organization because he got the talent, because he's stagnant. I can't challenge him enough. That's what I want to hear behind the scenes. And your boss may be your mentor helping you without you even knowing. A lot of bosses don't say, hey, I said a good word into the president. They just do it because it's the right thing to do. Other people are very political. They're trying to bring their own agenda because they want to bring their own individuals in. Now, let's look at something else. I want to just make this one thing clear. When you see a president or vice president or a high-level middle manager come in and take over an organization, many times they'll bring in some of their own staffs in. And you say, that's that's political. It is and it isn't. Because at that level, they have to get something done. They already know, look, if I'm an architect, and I'm building a high-rise, and there's a lot of construction companies out there. When I go up this way, I may bring a project manager in from that I know that knows the job. Not because he's my wife's brother-in-law, or he's my girlfriend, or she's my wife, or anything else. If they're the best qualified individuals, I'll bring them in because I don't have to worry about watching my back. I already know what they could do. I trust them. I've got that relationship with them. They know the task. They've got all those powers. They know the connection. They have everything else. They're an individual that can get this job done. Instead of me trying, I'm not saying that someone went internal within the organization. I just took it over in the department. Can't do that, but I don't know their strengths and weaknesses. I have to see what they have. You know what I mean? And I have to get this done here. So it's a little different than middle managers. Middle managers will bring people on. Same thing when look at when the new president takes over. Whether it's Mrs. Clinton, I think Obama can't run anymore, because the term limit. Let's say it's Mrs. Clinton or it's Paul Ryan or whatever they are. I'm not watching. You know what I mean? I worry about it when it's close to the end. That's how I am. Like most Americans. Let's see after everyone fights out who's left standing, and then I'll try to choose between the lesser of the two evils because most of them can't do it. So I'm looking at a candidate who could help my agenda. At least 60% of the time. But anyway, so when they're coming in, they're not keeping the same Secretary of State. They're not keeping the same. They're bringing in their own individuals that got the skill sets, not just because they helped them on a campaign. Sometimes that is, but that's not how it should be. Okay? So they're bringing in individuals so they can get it all running. If you have the ideas, then you become part of this team after a while. So when he or she's moving up, they're going to bring you or some individuals for. As long as you got the skills they need, they're going to tag you along. The flip side of this, if that president is gone, you're out there alone. And then you go, he was alliance to him. And again, remember, but some people stay, some survive, some don't. So you have to be able to understand politics and be politically savvy. Okay? Now, socializing, and the other thing is socializing is one way of getting ahead. Avoid bad behavior. Look, if I'm socializing, I said a lot of times you're going to be at company picnics, you're going to be at sports activity. I teach a sports marketing class, and one of the socializing, some of the people are very energetic about the sport. They're jumping up and down, yeah. But they scare a person who may be timid but still like the sport. Oh my God, I never saw that sight. He's scaring me. You know what I mean? So now, if he's like that, so remember, when you're out there, don't be drunk. You're out there to have a good time. You drink with your friends. If you want to bench out at work. Conservative, because otherwise you're half in a bag, and in the morning here's the company picnic at George's in the swimming pool laid out with a beer, and the faces on me. You can't get rid of that. That basically tells me you don't have self-control. You don't know. You know what I mean? You're making me look bad as a department. You may be the life of the party, but I didn't hire you for the life of the party. I hired you to function. And also, people see you in that kind of state, they lose respect for you. You know what I mean? It just doesn't look. If you look at the Secret Service, they're getting drunk and having party. I wouldn't want somebody that's always on the clock having a good time with me. I'm not saying that. It was just something else in the news recently going back and forth. So how do I clean that up? How do I get that respect? Okay? So remember, socializing, be sensible, but be natural. So if I'm looking at that, that takes care of our whole thing. Let me just make this smaller again, and I'll do a summarization, and we're finished here. Okay? So what do we learn? We learned today managing is fun, it's interesting, but it's a challenge. So you're going to have conflict, and usually because of too much conflict, maybe that's part of the change. Move people around, move the desk around, change the titles, different types of conflicts. We had strategies, how to manage conflicts. We had mediating the conflict. That's one thing a supervisor does 20% of the time you learn. You are the change agent. You may not make the change, but you have to implement it, and you have to be behind it and get your individuals, because you don't know, and you know what needs to be changed to meet your company or organization. And if you do it well and you're being productive, and you become the benchmark for your team, and you're showing other people, teams similar to yours, how you implemented a change, utilizing, not you saying, bring the people who were the part of the change. Now, a lot of times I may come out and see a department is doing well, and a manager is giving me all this. I say, can I sit with your team member? Now I find out really the change. The manager knows the large level, but he or she may not really know the details. That's what I'm looking at for. So the manager is telling me one thing. When I talk to the employees, they're doing something a little different. And that's when I do, you remember when I come back also to see how much it has the process changed. The manager, in his eyes, thinks everything's good, but the process changed. So make sure you have the right individuals that people could trust, and they don't think they're going to be have any kind of negative thing because they're doing it differently, and I'm going to write them up because they didn't follow the procedure. That's not my whole thing. My thing is general, here's what's going on. And sometimes the supervisors are surprised when I know more about their department than they do, or even as a consultant I find out. I don't know what else happened, because you had to have that personality. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I developed that over time. That's as a supervisor you have to do. Get that stuff out of them. Most employees ain't going to tell you one way or the other what's wrong. You have to do it, and when you're changing, you got to look at the nonverbal, and you take the pulse, you get that feeling in there, okay? Change the workplace is happening all the time, so I'm always making small changes, so when I have to do the big changes, they're already used to the changes, and all the changes, some are good. The people employees come up with a new idea. I said, I don't want to run it out. Let's do it as a test thing. And they're the most very honest. It's not working saying this is a bad product. It didn't work. I don't make them feel bad. Okay, come up with another idea. I want them to come up with ideas, otherwise you're stagnant. I want them to change, but I'm still controlling the change. And what's the resistance? Some are more open to changes. Younger people like to change it, but after a while, the older people may not. Or a lot of times, the older people want to change, and younger don't. Don't go look at them. I'm not stereotyping. I'm generalizing. It depends on the group, and depends what change, what aspect, and how much you have to learn. Remember, once they change, it means I don't get the goals, because I have to learn a whole new way of doing things that I didn't do it before. Okay, and proposing the change and types of powers, political strategies and social. My wife had 10 years younger than I am. Just to talk, and she had, and it changed the whole family. A lot of us do it. She had a major stroke, so she lost a lot of mobility of her right hand. So she had to learn everything from the left hand, and that's the big change. So how to open up and everything with one hand. You those have the braces, learn how to walk, learn to speak. You have people that were in accidents or something happened. They change, but they're still functional and they're better. You have Senator Kirk, I think, had a major stroke also, and to rehabilitation. Now he's a little better. Could he handle? Yes, he's all right. Something happened. How do I overcome? I compensate. So change is there, but it has to be in a controlled situation. And some people resist the change, but work with them and help them and move forward. You could do it. You could do it. You're the mentor. You're the coach. Remember? And propose the change. How do I propose it? How do I set up? We're going to move. We're going to have to do this. And here's why. You're going to have a bigger office. Try to do the positive, but here's the negative. It's going to be a little longer drive, but but we're expanding. By expanding means there's more opportunities for promotion. There's more security for you. There's more people buying our products. I could I could pay you more. Or we have to move because we got a downside. For this reason, we're just going to survive the economic turbulence, and then afterwards, hopefully, we will resurrect and come back as a stronger, focused organization. Okay, the socializing, again, part of doing business supervisor. Look, a lot of times, look at social, you say, come out with a drink. As instructor, I never go out with things that I like to fraternize because, you might talk too much. So socializing, I'll go to a party, but I don't stay too long. I mean, the persons have a party, I'll go there, I'll buy a round of drinks, I congratulate them for their promotion or their birthday or their anniversary. But basically, I'll just leave early and then let them, because they still feel like the police officers there. I don't want to talk too much. But don't be so cold that you don't even socialize. But use your head. Be calm. This is a work event, and a work event should be a work event. Use it for your political advantage or bring your employees together, but still be respectful to the family members and everything else. Okay? So my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this is for Supervisors, Managing Conflict and Change for Supervisors, and I'll see you in the next series. Thank you very much. Bye.